Well, it's been a long, strange trip around the world, several times. But the 14th annual Twisted Metal competition is about to come to a close as we face the final boss. And for this task, I selected the series' hidden protagonist Marcus Kane, driver of Roadkill. Marcus suffers from vivid nightmares of competing in Twisted Metal. Of course, these aren't nightmares at all, but rather repressed memories of his alter ego Needles Kane driving Sweet Tooth. For some reason, Calypso is erasing his mind to obfuscate this reality from him. And even more confusingly, Marcus wakes up one day to find Roadkill parked out front waiting for him. Presumably, Calypso delivered it to get him to compete in the tournament and defeat Sweet Tooth so that he can end the nightmares, which is his goal. But he doesn't even believe that this tournament is real. Reality is just such an undecipherable mess for him, and who could blame him? Anyway, Dark Tooth. Nothing ushers in a 3-story cackling ice cream truck with gnashing jaws of death, quite like mid-tempo bongo music. You might recall that they used the music that was written for this boss fight in the Transylvania level. And this is what they cobbled together at the last minute to replace it. I would not have blamed them if they had just used that awesome spooky metal music twice in the same game, but this is fine. And here comes the only energy move I haven't used yet, that Napalm Strike. It's a homing thing that fires with your selected weapon, adds 11 damage to your attack, and takes about a quarter of your energy. I usually use energy defensively, but if you've got someone on the ropes and want to go all out, that's another way that you can do so. I certainly wouldn't say that Darktooth is on the ropes right now, though. Done about half his health, which is respectable. He's got quite a lot of it. But fighting him is like fighting a simultaneous Sweet Tooth and Mr. Slam. You can't get in his line of fire, nor can you get anywhere physically near him, which makes your life pretty difficult. I was in an excellent position to get him with my charged special, but of course he knew that and froze me instead. So I'm just using my default special, which is good enough. It is the Boomerang from Twisted Metal 2. I'm not making the best use of it here, but clearly it's enough. Some boss fight. Darktooth was just an appetizer. Our main course is Tower Tooth. It would be more appropriate if he was dessert, because he dispenses ice cream. But whatever, bad metaphor. He's another one you don't want to get close to because between his treads is a fire-breathing Sweet Tooth head. But you don't need to get close to him to charge that special. With the upgrade, you can charge up to 6 of these homing boomerangs. And if they all land, they'll do 35 damage. But they have that preposterous spread that covers the entire screen. So the only thing that they would all hit would be a gigantic enemy like Tower Tooth. The boomerangs also do double damage if they hit while they're on the rebound. But with the wall of shots you're firing, it doesn't even make sense to try and get an enemy between you and them while they're coming back. Like, how would that even physically work, especially in these narrow streets with buildings on both sides? I don't even go for it when I have the upgrade. The ability to rear fire is something that I usually undervalue, but it's exceptionally useful here, so I actually used it for once. Then I turned around and charged headfirst into the enemy anyway, like a fool. That killed the fire-breathing head between the treads. So now we have to kill the real head that is on top of the ice cream shop, all the way at the top of Tower Tooth. We'll have to use the elevation of the terrain to make that possible, as well as weapons that have very good homing, which usually means very low damage, and Tower Tooth has lots and lots of health. There's no longer any reason to get anywhere near him because you can't do any damage from the bottom. But you would think it would at least be safe with the flamethrower head gone. But that is very much not the case. He's much more dangerous if you get close to him because now he has constant lightning strikes that emit from him. And it's not even so much that they're damaging, it's that they bounce you airborne and keep you juggled in the air, all the while vulnerable to his constant stream of napalm cones that he spews at you. He is bound to street level though, so you definitely want to creep through the buildings, dodge his shots as best you can, stay at his head level so that you can still do damage, and stay very far away from him. The specificity of all those factors is what makes this fight difficult. What makes it annoying is that every couple of seconds, Tower Tooth goes invincible. And all of the health pickups in the level spawn at street level. As soon as they appear, he will go right for them. The execution of this fight is quite difficult, and very unlike anything else we've done in the game, but it is also guaranteed to be a prolonged gauntlet, where you can afford to make very few mistakes. So while we're dealing with that, let's play around more with that boomerang special, because it is really cool. Maybe my single favorite special in the entire game. You can just use it as a single shot, 15 damage homing missile, and for those purposes it is perfectly fine. If that was all it was, I would say thank you for the boring utilitarian weapon, and just be done with it. But obviously, the real satisfaction and power of the attack comes from using it as a boomerang. Like I said, I don't really bother to do that when I have the upgrade, but I just died, so I don't have the upgrade anymore. In order to get the boomerang to return to your vehicle, you have to hit the fire button again. You control when it returns to you, which adds a great deal of difficulty and strategy to using it as a boomerang. You have to plan around your enemy's movement pattern and time your shot so that it doesn't home in on anybody, nor crash into anything in the environment. But when you see that you landed it for 30 points of damage, nothing in this game feels better. And as an added bonus, if you catch the boomerang without it hitting anything, you just get to fire it again. It refills your use of the special. And if you charge it up and fire multiple boomerangs, if you catch even one of them, it will refill that use of the special. So that's an interesting case where you can hit an enemy with a bunch of them and still get one of them back and fire it again. I've actually done that once or twice in this boss battle. Go rewatch the video and see if you can catch them. So I don't know why Roadkill has a boomerang. Doesn't seem to have any thematic relevance to a car made out of broken down parts of other cars. It might be a reference to the Road Warrior, I'm realizing. But, I don't know, whatever the reason, it sort of makes Roadkill the best vehicle in the game. It also helps that I like his stat loadout. He's very fast, but not so fast as to sacrifice all of his armor. So, very strong all around. Couldn't be happier with Roadkill. And while I was gushing about him, Tower Tooth killed me twice. So I gotta finish this thing off. And a big part of that is going to be collecting stuff off of the road. Most importantly, I am going to want to snipe all of the health pickups before he can get to them. Then I'm going to want to snipe him with some kind of homing weapon. The swarming missiles will probably do it. Anything to deal that last sliver of damage to that face of his. Just gotta get him off my tail and get in a good position. Then we will finish this thing off. The Tooth Tower has fallen. Oh, Toothun? Sorry. I guess I should mention that on the PSP version, you can save between the Dark Tooth and Tower Tooth fights, completely resetting your health and all the pickups, worlds easier than what we just saw. Roadkill has truly earned his ending.
Congratulations. You've won this year's Twisted Medal. You may claim your prize.
I know none of this is real. Is it?
Twisted Medal is as real as you want it to be. And apparently you want it to be very real. Needles.
Wait, well, I don't understand. Are you saying I've got something to do with all this death and destruction?
The world is as you see it. Your mind is a powerful thing, Mr. Kane.
Stop it! You're confusing me! Enough of this! I wish this nightmare would end once and for all!
There are some wishes even I can't grant completely, Needles. But I'll do what I can for now.
What did he call me? I never did like this place.
Well, who could have guessed that Marcus Kane's story of struggling to decipher the nature of reality would have ended in a confusing cop-out that explains nothing? I suppose the final moment could have been implying that the Needles Kane persona is awakening from the dark world to the colorful world as foreshadowed in Twisted Metal Black. But it's so unclear, who knows, that's just a guess. On the bright side, Fred Tatasciore makes a triumphant return, voicing both Needles and Marcus Kane. A real showcase of his considerable talents, and we haven't heard the last of him. By completing the tournament, we unlocked a playable Dark Tooth. Which means I finally get to scroll the character select screen to the left, revealing that our new vehicle is seated right beside Roadkill, and is driven by both Marcus and Needles Kane. And spoiler alert, Tower Tooth is also driven by Marcus and Needles Kane, meaning during that boss fight, there were 5 Marcus Kanes on the streets of Tokyo. Many of them operating different vehicles and dying at different points in time. What even the hell is going on? I don't think Twisted Metal was meant to have any sort of narrative structure, because it's inexplicable. Their bio here doesn't explain anything, just waxes poetic about the nature of insanity. And it says the source of their power is Needles' madness combined with Marcus's rational mind. I've seen nothing that suggests he has any such thing. But what we do have here is a rematch against Roadkill. And things are going to turn out rather differently when we play as Dark Tooth, because Roadkill's already dead. We were able to take out Dark Tooth with relative ease in the boss fight, but in the right hands, this thing is pretty much unstoppable. I guess that means I, the player, represent Marcus's rational mind, or something, and all of Twisted Metal is a metaphor. Whatever the implications of this victory lap may be, it's gonna go by really quick and easy. Dark Tooth's stats are all completely maxed out, which mostly just means that he has really high HP. The special is the Biting Maw. That'll take 20 health off of anything that gets in front of you. But nothing will likely get in front of you because the most important part is that your machine gun is Sweet Tooth's special. I'm going to avoid overusing it because it cackles every time you fire it, and that's really annoying. But it does provide the highest possible damage per second. Sustained fire will kill any other vehicle before the machine gun overheats. And we just got the machine gun upgrade from Sweet Tooth's corpse. I suspect that upgrade just does nothing at all for this vehicle. And if I'm mistaken, it doesn't really matter because it's too deadly to even measure by default. As a little personal challenge, I came in here with only 2 upgrades, so that in order to show off the upgraded special, I would have to kill 4 of the 5 opponents and collect all of their upgrade points, and then use the upgraded special on the 1 remaining enemy. And of course, I'd have to do all that without dying, because that would cost me my upgrades. So let's see if I can pull that off. We've seen that our non-upgraded special is like that of Mr. Slam, except where Mr. Slam's is automatic. As long as you have it selected, you just gotta bump into an enemy and it automatically grabs and smashes them. This one you have to fire manually, but if you hit an enemy at any point during the animation, it grabs them and does the full 20 points of damage, and the hitbox is gargantuan, much larger than what we're seeing here. And while I was describing the special, I got the upgrade for it. So all that remains is to fulfill our destiny and unleash the upgraded special on the 1 remaining enemy. How will it be different? Let's find out. Instead of doing 20 damage, it does 30. It's not different at all, it's just 50% better. You could also really see how it just sucked Grasshopper right into its teeth. And when you throw your victim after smashing them, it puts them right in the path of your machine gun. So you could land 2 or 3 napalm cones before they could possibly recover and escape. It is, as you would expect, extremely powerful, and pretty damn cool, especially when you use it on Darktooth. It was like 5 times the size of this playable version during the boss fight, and let's take a look at how silly it is to shake around something that huge just for the hell of it. I think it looks even sillier than when you use the special on Towertooth, which I may as well show off for comparison's sake. And that's probably all we need to see of Darktooth devouring the competition. Time to give his drivers more wishes? Maybe? Let's find out in his ending.
Where am I?
How did I get back here? This looks like
a nightmare. I've seen this monster before.
in my own reflection.
Who are you?
Oh, come on. Don't be naive.
Don't you drive Sweet Tooth?
I'm a little bit more than that. I'm you moron.
I don't know why, but I believe you.
Hey, have I ever lied to me?
Is this a dream? It feels like a dream. It feels like I've been here before.
I have. We have. Whatever.
What is this place? Why are we here? What is that thing?
Too many questions. I think the best thing to do is climb inside and look around.
For Darktooth, they didn't so much provide an ending as an origin for Towertooth, who you would have had to defeat in order to even unlock Darktooth. So it's kinda pointless, and incomplete, since Towertooth does not have an ending. We've now seen every ending in the game, and we've told the full story of Twisted Metal head-on. It's possible that something here was intended as a sequel hook, or maybe not, it's really hard to say. But they've been kicking this can down the road for a very, very long time, even as of the release of Head On. The reality of Twisted Metal was first brought into question with Marcus's ending in Twisted Metal 2. It could well be that what I'll call the colorful world, in which every Twisted Metal has taken place, is just a coma fantasy that Marcus experienced after getting into a horrible car crash. But even the ending that suggests this possibility strongly implies that it's just a trick that Calypso is playing. So for the sake of simplicity, we'll just say that the colorful world is reality in this universe because we know for a fact that there is a second reality, that being the Dark World. That's where Twisted Metal Black takes place, and we don't know how it exists, but we know that Needles Kane can actually see it, and perhaps it's the only reality that he is aware of. And we know that its denizens came from the colorful world somehow, and they want to return. Then there's the matter of the character named Black, which is where things get really confusing. In the Dark World, he's trying to kill Calypso in what amounts to a pointless throwaway ending, but Twisted Metal Lost says that he's doing so on behalf of the Colorful World's version of Calypso, and we have seen Colorful Calypso in possession of the character Black. Mr. Ash did take Black from him, but that was in Twisted Metal 1, which takes place in 2005. Twisted Metal Black is suggested with in-game evidence to have taken place in the year 2001, its release year. Therefore, it is possible that Colorful Calypso would be waging some kind of battle with Dark World Calypso, for unknown reasons. In fact, I'd say the final explanation for everything is that David Jaffe set up a bunch of intriguing stuff that he either had no plans for or he didn't inform the head-on team about his plans. And they just completely fumbled interpreting them in a satisfying way. And since this is the last thing anyone did with the Twisted Metal canon, it all just kinda went to waste. God, I hate to end this LP on such a downer note. So I won't. See you next time for even more of what Head On has to offer.